Hi, I'm Brian, Service Manager at Whole Latte Love, and today we're going to go over how to clean and or replace your vacuum breaker on an ECM Synchronika.
You're going to talk about the symptom that might lead you to get into some of this, right? And what's that?
One of the most common ways that you'll see that you have an issue with your vacuum breaker is if you see this little spout right here, you'll have steam coming out of there or more water than you're used to seeing come out of there. Obviously, every time you're running a shot, you'll see a little bit come through here. I'm going to show you why that is and show you how to determine what's causing the excess water.
And just to be clear, when a machine's warming up before it reaches full temperature, you're going to get some drops of water out there.
Absolutely, yes. That's the whole point of this. So it'll make a little more sense when I show you what it looks like up top here. So if you look from the top, you have these two silicone tubes that come to a T. That T then drops down and it comes out from that front dump spot there. So when you look in here, you should be able to either see or recreate what is happening by pinching the hose. So if you have a leak and you pinch the hose and it stops right here, then you know that your issue is here. This is venting, when it shouldn't be theoretically. And then same with here. If you pinch here and it stops, then you know you have an issue coming off of coming from your OPV. The OPV is less likely to be the issue unless you have it dialed in too far. Say you have the pressure on this is far below what your pump's pressure is set to. That would be a cause of excess water. And that's an easy thing to just check. You can dial it back a bit and see if you can get it to stop leaking that way.
Just by turning that?
Just by turning the little slotted screw spot on the top there. So
you need your machine on and powered to do that. So opened up, you'd want to be careful.
Yes, definitely. That's why all I'm saying is, little pinch there, little pinch there. Just careful the tubes are hot. And when you're actually dialing the pressure on here, again, yes, be careful. You got some electrical wires here, so steady hands.
And just so we're clear, so somebody doesn't get the wrong message here, that OPV is really not where you're setting your brew pressure.
Exactly, no. The brew pressure is adjusted on the pump itself. This is just sort of a maximum capacity of pressure in the system. These are usually from the manufacturer around 11 bars pressure. So I don't know many people that brew their espresso at around there, so usually you're good, just leave this where it is. There's not much of a reason to fiddle with it. So.
This might be confusing somebody coming from a vibration pump machine where maybe that does control your brew pressure.
Exactly, yes, there can definitely be some confusion there. So for the sake of this video, we're going to say, oh no, we have a little leak coming from our vacuum relief, which is this happy little fella right here. So this is the point where we're going to have the machine turned off, unplugged, and cooled down because nobody likes burning themselves. The first thing you're going to do once you've met all that criteria is pull this silicone tube off. Okay, should just slide off. Sometimes if you've had it for 3 or 4 years, it can be a little bit tough, and you just got to give it a good tug.
Any chance I can get you to turn that machine just a little bit?
Certainly. There you go. Okay, so now this is pretty easy to get off. If you have a 17mm socket wrench, not needed to have a deep socket. It's a medium socket right here and it does the trick. I'm only going to get to the top part of this with this. As you see,
it's come out pretty easy.
Yeah. Not too bad. Just get a little bit of sealant in there. This you'll fight at first, but once you break that seal, it usually rolls off fairly well. There we go. And you can use a regular 17mm or adjustable wrench. It's just easier with the socket. So this is your OPV, I'm sorry, not your OPV. I'm talking about that, guys. This is your vacuum relief. So what I'm going to do is I'm opening it up so I can show you how it works. You just got the top portion of it. Sometimes when you're taking this off, the top portion will come off first, which is totally fine. Especially
also how you get in there to clean it, right? If you're
exactly.
Just a little preventative. Okay.
So the top portion is just going to come off. Then you look in here, you have this Teflon seal, and you got a little piston sticking up. You just grab that piston, pull it right out. So this is the seal.
Okay.
With this in there, you don't need to use any kind of thread sealant on the actual threads. So that's what creates that. You look at this, the shape of this almost looks like a inside-out umbrella there. So what this does is it catches the warm air as the machine is heating up. And when there's enough pressure, enough warm air coming up, it pushes this all the way up through. And that red O-ring creates the seal in there. So if this red O-ring is worn and cracked or completely missing, or you have scale build up around here, that's not going to seal all the way, and that's going to be causing that steam. Basically, it's going to be the same thing as opening up your steam wand a little bit. You're going to have that steam going up through there, through the tube, back out. So what I recommend is periodically, every quarter or so, every 3 months, depends on your water quality too. It's just to crack that top open and take a look in there. Take a look at that O-ring, make sure it's clean, and apply just a little bit of lubricant. Don't need to go ham, it's just more of a preventative thing, making sure that it doesn't get dried out and cracked. So, just a small amount, not even using half of what I just wasted on my finger there.
And that lubricant is just a food safe,
just food safe, high temperature, water resistant. Yep.
I mean, you've got the stuff you like there.
Yep, I got my Molykote 111. I'm using it for years. You can use whatever you like. That's just what I've found throughout the years to treat me the best. So.
Sure.
Okay, so now that we've got that cleaned out, start putting it back together.
So which way do they go? So the orientation here.
The fat end of it is going to be sticking out from the hole.
Okay.
Just pop right in there. If there's any of this white part is sticking out still, you'll see it sticking out. That's the wrong way.
That's incorrect.
Yep. Okay. And you'll notice too, if you tried to put it back together that way, that this top isn't going to screw all the way down.
Oh, okay.
So, whereas it's kind of possible to put it back together wrong, you'll notice something's up. So, put it back the right way, just hop right in there. Thread that down. Then I don't worry about tightening it down too much right now because I'll just tighten it down when I'm actually putting it back into the machine.
Okay.
Okay.
And you could also just simply replace this, right?
Exactly, yeah. They're not horribly expensive. We sell them on our site, so if you ever need to replace this, the quick and simple way to go about it. But for those that like to get their hands dirty and mess around with machines like me, I do this probably more often than I need to. But when you're putting this back together, this is where you're going to want to use some sealant. You can either use a liquid sealant, it's like a bonder, or you can use just Teflon tape.
White Teflon
works
tape?
Totally fine. So the liquid sealant stands up a little bit better to the test of time, but Teflon tape's totally fine. I only didn't put it on because I don't have it with me right now, so don't judge me. But
no judging.
Just get it in there hand tight and then torque it down a little bit more. But with that sealant in there, you should be totally fine. Just always remember, put your tube back on. Something else to watch out for when you're putting it back together, if this has gotten cracks at the end, when you put it on here, if it feels really loose, if you don't have to tug hard to take it off, you can try trimming just a little bit off to see if it seats better.
Okay.
If it doesn't, you're going to want to replace that section of tubing. It's also a good time to check the T there to make sure that that's not cracked or worn, starting to leak or anything. All of that can be purchased. So if it starts looking in poor condition, it's better just to replace it and not end up having to worry about leaks all over inside your machine if you let it slide like that. So.
All right. Now I'm just going to mention one thing that's happened to me in the past, and that's pinching that tube.
Yes.
Because if that gets a pinch in it, that valve may not close. I mean, I put a top of machine back on once, and the tube ended up like that, and I had just steam coming out the front, and took off the top, and there's a pinch tube, and it was Easiest fix I've ever made, I think.
Yeah, it's the little changes that you can make to the pressure inside the system. You know, you get that water that's gonna, from condensation building up there, this is gonna fall right back down on that piston, and that water is enough that it's gonna keep holding it down. So next thing you know, you got all the steam coming out front of it, and what the heck's going on here?
And no pressure in my boiler. What's
exactly, yeah.
All right, Brian, thanks so much for taking us through that.
Yeah, not a problem.